The Wednesday Week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Okay. You done me. You did me. My apologies for... I'm not going to edit this video, so I'm just going to leave this bit in. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. And just a normal one this week because we wanted to actually talk about the football, talk about what's been going on in the world, talk about what's been happening in the world of football, talk about Sheffield Wednesday's staying up chances, the relegation prospectus, what that means for the club, and the like. One of us is battered. Let's see which one you can pick out it is. My name's Dan Fudge. With me, I've got Dave, I've got Steve, I've got Simon, and I've got Ash. How's it going, chaps? Are you all right? How's everybody?
Magic.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Not bad, thank you.
Oh, well,
Over.
I'm fine, thanks all for asking.
How are you, Dan?
I'm good. I've had a busy week, you know what I mean? There's been a lot going off. That's a really good segue, that chap. So I've been moonlighting on a few podcasts these last couple of nights, and we've been talking about the European Super League. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on it because obviously it doesn't affect us, or does it? But that's the interesting question. So, Dave, I'll come to you first. So the Dirty Dozen, as they've been known, as it stands right now, all the English teams have pulled out, but I believe Barcelona and Real Madrid are still in it. You know what I mean? I think that El Clasico is now going to be known as the ESL Championship at some point until something changes. Can you shed a bit of light, Dave, on what that would have meant for the English League and for Sheffield Wednesday?
No.
All right.
What a question, right? So we're talking about the ESL in England, and you ask a guy based in Scotland.
Well, yeah, my next question, my follow-up to that was, I think Rangers and Celtic, they were talking about a British league about 9 o'clock this morning, but that seems to have lost a bit of airtime. Let me start then. So let me kick this off. So you've got these 6 teams who are the perception, and let's let the perceived 6, let's call it that they could potentially win the league. Now, so what this ESL have done is taken them out, and they've gone on to form this Super League. That was happening as of Sunday night about midnight. It was like a Chancery announcement, wasn't it? And I believe what that would have happened for Sheffield Wednesday is that would have taken away the potential of going on to play the big games, getting into the Champions League. And I know that sounds ridiculous, don't get me wrong, but that carrot is always dangled, isn't it? And it would have devalued our league. And I feel that our football pyramid would have been perceived as like a secondary league. You know, the way we perceive the French top league, the Uber Eats League. You know what I mean? So, was anybody concerned, or did you all find it really hilarious that Liverpool and Manchester United fans have just have realised that they're customers for the first time?
I don't think it would have devalued our league at all, to be honest with you. Not in isolation. I think it would have done the same for Spain. I think it would have done the same for Italy. I think it would have just changed the way that football's perceived by the fan rather than the customer across Europe. I think I don't know the ins and outs in terms of in depth in terms of the reasons why your Bayerns and your PSGs weren't included, but from my point of view, taking them out of it wouldn't have impacted the Premiership as opposed to Spain or Italy in any more of a negative way, to be honest with you.
Would you think that obviously the perceived holy ground is the Premiership? So you've got teams that spent, like Wolves a couple of years ago, they spent big in the Championship to get to the Premier League. Now, would the team still do that if the money wasn't there? Because no doubt the money's going to be impacted from the Premier League. So if you take, like Dan said, the perceived top 6, they're out of it. The TV revenue is got to be hit, hasn't it? It's got to be. Because Sky or BT, Amazon, whoever, are not going to want to pay big bucks to see mid-table or things. So would the money that the Championship pay players and spend on transfers, do you think that'll... Go on, Steve. I can see you're going to say sorry.
Would that have been a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying... No, I'm just saying what you were on about, like the impact. Then I think it would be, and I think it would be positive, I think, because of that. Basically, you're not going to spend 15 million, 20 million in Championship on a striker.
The vast majority of fans, obviously the the Liverpool, the Big Six fans, they were up in arms and so forth. And I know a lot of other people were saying football's dying. It was going to be the end. That's it. But you take those money grabbing so-and-sos out of it, and that's what it is. And we can talk about the birth and the generation of the Premiership, because let's be right, this is only a genesis of what happened in '92, because that's what Sky did. They came in, chucked a shitload of money at the game, and then generated it. And the irony is, Gary Neville stands there, and I thought Gary Neville spoke really well. I thought everything that Gary Neville Carragher came out with was absolutely spot on. But Gary Neville standing there having a meltdown on Sunday night while he's taking his millions from Sky Sports, doing this, that, and the other, was hypocrisy.
It was the absolute highlight. I've been trolling and fishing on Twitter about that for like the last 2 days, because I found it funny. There is, us under Chansiri the last 5 years, as we have been, 6 years now, isn't it? We have been customers. We are just people that exist in Chansiri's world, or some would argue we don't exist. And Gary Neville sat there with his paycheck in his back pocket, going, "I think it's out of order." It is, Gary. Yes, you're right. But you're not exactly stood on Speaker's Corner saying it, are you? You know what I mean? Using the platform of Sky, who some would argue 30 years ago ruined our game. However, it did make the EPL one of the best leagues in the world, or if not the most watched league in the world, because our league isn't a two-horse race like they are across Europe. You know what I mean? I mean, PSG are a hilarious one, because they need the Premier League, and I tell you, they need the European Super League, because of two things. Their players are not getting the respect they deserve as world-class players. Neymar has crossed the lips of many a football fan as not being the finished article, because he plays teams like FC Nantes and Lorient. You know what I mean? And so they write him off. I mean, regardless of how well he does in the Champions League, he gets written off. But this man is a world-class player, right?
Yeah, but it was his choice to go there for the money.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It's all finance based. But then I'm sat here now in a Miami Dolphins jersey, and there is that competition there is non-relegation. It's a playoff formation. Nobody else can get in or get out. The secondary league there is college level. So because they're what you'd call grassroots out there is very well funded. The championship is essentially the college game. It's insane, but it's a completely different university. It's a completely different world that they're in, and that is a continent-wide tournament. Now, all of you guys that I'm talking to right now have got kids. And one of the main issues that's come out of this is people say it's taking it away from the fans, right? And that, for me, I find really interesting, because I don't have kids, and it would cost me the same amount of money to fly to Paris as it would to get a train to London. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Right? So what I'm going to ask you guys is, has the world, and I know you're football fans, so you're probably going to scoff at me, but I know that there are people out there that view football as a television show. And I believe that go into match with my dad and we're going to have a pint, and he sits there in silence, and then they're all brought up as Wednesday fans and all. I think that world is dying. And I believe that the reason that this got mooted when it did was obviously because of COVID, because the clubs are skint. And there's also a level of that, because they've got this big international appeal, these clubs, that they can still fill their stadiums, regardless of the local community. Because I think that local community is dying.
You'd have probably actually seen this league not actually played at Old Trafford or Anfield, or you probably would have found this league was played in stadiums in the States, in Asia.
Yeah, just like they come over here. Yeah,
and you would have found that these games would have been played where rich Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United fans would have gone to, flown to wherever, Singapore, wherever, to watch a game, and the rest would have been customers. We were talking about this at lunchtimes. One of the guys who works with us is a Liverpool fan, and he was actually quite, it's good, but he was actually pro it, but he's a Liverpool fan who doesn't actually go and watch Liverpool. He watches Liverpool on TV. And we have this breed, don't we, of fans who who are a Man United fan or a Chelsea fan, a Tottenham fan, whoever it might be, who have never actually been to that ground. They've never actually...
Look on Twitter and it's full of Nigerians and Chinese, isn't it? All bantering off about who's better, Ronaldo or Fernandez.
Wasn't there a thing a few years ago where the most shirts that Man United sold were in Asia rather than actually in the UK?
Yeah, they have a huge fan culture. And the difference is, and this is where the money comes from as well, and I use NFL as a great example because you're right, Simon, there'll be a couple played in China. There would have been a couple of played in South Africa somewhere, India. And in North America and in India. Because bear in mind, I watch the NFL when it comes over here, and that costs me 90 quid a ticket. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's £90. So we're all of a sudden doubling the amount of money that we can make from one stadium, and I can see why it's done and where the money was going to come from. But what they didn't gamble on was the vitriol from the communities. And the question I ask is that community spirit of the club being part of the community, that's still there? And do you believe that that's waning, or do you feel that that's still going to be strong? At the minute, it's a lot stronger than they gave credit for. Do you know what I mean?
Do you not think it's in some ways it's kind of hard for us to judge because
we're football fans?
No, but from our point of view as Wednesday fans at the moment, because there's such a feeling of supporter apathy and people who have found different things to do with the Saturdays and the relegation feeling inevitable, because of where we are, it's kind of, in some ways, it's quite nice to see that the supporters of Manchester United and Chelsea and Liverpool, and so they've actually had this, the fans have stood up collectively together and gone, that's not on, and they've done enough, perhaps, to change the mindset of their own owners. I don't think, obviously where we are at the moment, we're not going to be considered for a European Super League, but the point is, when something is so against what's ingrained as you as a fan, supporting your local football team you've grown up with, that you're going to go, no, you're not doing this to my club.
Do you think as well, though, Dave, we're in a situation at the moment where fans aren't going to watch football, and we've spent the last, since Christmas, locked up at home, that actually there was a huge groundswell against this, and down to the fact of that everybody turned against it, including Sky. I am a bit cynical in regards to if Sky had signed some sort of broadcasting rights on this, then we would have never had the outrage from Gary Neville and
he didn't quit, did he? He didn't do what Colin Murray did and go, I'm not working for them, did he?
No, and I still stand by the fact if it was European Super League sponsored by Sky, right, or the BBC or ITV or Amazon or whatever, we wouldn't have had this huge media groundswell against it, which then stirred the fans who haven't been to a football match since whenever, and actually went out shouting like you saw them outside Chelsea going, no, against the Super League. When I think it was badly timed. I think if they've always talked, this talk about a breakaway league has been going on for years, hasn't it? It's been, at one point there was a league where Celtic, Rangers, Man United, this was mooted a few years ago, a separate league. And people scoffed at it and poo-pooed it because I think it was the case of, we'd have to go over to Barcelona and have to do this and that and the other. Christ, imagine being a Wednesday fan and saying, oh dear, we've got to play Barcelona and, there's a trip over to Barcelona. All right, there'd be a lot of people who couldn't afford it, but there'd be also them who'd sell the left leg to go and see it, you remember?
Yeah.
When
Wembley weren't cheap and we sold half of that out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was massively badly timed. I think the main media turned against it because they weren't on board with it. They hadn't been invited on board with it.
And they set the narrative, didn't they?
And that's exactly what I was going to say. It shows how much Sky has got an influence, doesn't it?
Yeah, the fans didn't get this thrown out. Yeah, the fans didn't get this thrown out. It was Jim White on two massive media outlets going,
don't give him airtime, man. Give over.
The fans joined on it because they haven't been to a football match for ages, and it's something to get enraged about.
Do you know what? That's a great point, Simon. So for example, imagine not being able to go to a football stadium for a year. The last time I went to a football ground, we got spanked 5-0 by Brentford. That was the last time we went. And then all of a sudden, a year down the line, because we haven't been able to go, someone's gone, you also might not still be able to go because we're going to bugger off. You know what I mean? Because our first game of the season against Paris Saint-Germain is in China.
I'm massively cynical about this. I mean, we've been out of the Premiership now for, 20 years, is it? You know, and you speak to Man United fans, Man City fans, they're so disconnected with football nowadays. Mm-hmm. They have an opinion of football which is completely different to any team lower Premiership and every other team in every other league. Now, and it is a completely... When Ethan was a mascot, when we played Man City in the FA Cup a few years ago, when Atty scored and then we lost 2-1, and when they have the DJ and they welcome every player off the coach on a red carpet, and there's loads of people there taking photographs, students, Chinese students, foreign students. It's not the football that we're used to. And do we go, oh, that's not football, that's crap, that is, because people are taking photographs.
But we don't like change, do we?
No, we don't like change. We don't like change. But has football moved on to a point? But also, if you speak to Man United fans, I remember them moaning a few years ago about, we're knocked out at Champions League. Yeah, but you're going to win Premiership. But we're not in Champions League. You know, can you imagine Leicester fans going, I'd rather win Champions League than Premiership? You know, it's just bollocks, isn't it? These fans jumping up and down in London, jumping up and down, who are buying season tickets to Chelsea for God knows how much, going, oh, God, I don't want to play PSG or wherever in China. Bing, they're in ESL. They'll be buying flights from Stansted, left, right and centre to go and watch it.
Could you not make the same argument that were we not going to the wall, HMRC were winding us up, and as bad as things are now, there's no talk about us getting wound up, so could you not make the same argument with us that we're not
we're a shit show, Dave. Let's not get there yet. Go on, Ash.
I think it was all bollocks, to be honest.
It was a gesture.
UEFA Champions League were rejigging the league with all different fixtures and how they were going to position. And I think it was a play from the top teams in Europe to see because they've changed it now on the thing. So I think it was never going to happen. I think it was all bollocks. I think it was just a power play to say to the Champions League, we don't agree with how that you were going to readjust the Champions League to this massive format, and we're not having it, and it's worked. I think it was never going to happen. I think it was just a load of crap, and
me personally, I thought if they ended up leaving the Premiership, it would make the Premiership a better place.
They were never, ever, ever, ever going to leave the Premiership.
Go on, Steve.
Not in a million years.
No, I'm just agreeing with Simon's last point, to be honest with you. I think, the last sort of discussion there was started by a conversation around around community. Mm-hmm. I think it's not necessarily a local community. I think football has proven that as football fans, it doesn't matter whether you're up in Scotland, down in Brighton, in Dinnington, Sheffield, wherever you are, football fandom is now a community, but it's a disconnected community from that big six. Mm-hmm. I thought, I love Leicester winning the league. I love the fact that they're still hovering about the champion. I'm more interested in watching Leicester and West Ham this year, breaking that top four, because it's a change from the norm. If Wolves getting up, fantastic, good luck to them. I hope they manage to sustain it over a period of time. The teams that are going up this year, Norwich. They've been up there. Wouldn't it be nice to see Brentford get up, because it's something different in Premiership? So from that point of view, I think it's the landscape. Football is changing to a point where it's now evolved. I don't want Champions League football, because it's not Champions League football. It's rich clubs going in there, and there are that many countries now. The world has evolved to the point where you can get countries that didn't even exist when the Champions League started qualifying for Champions League, playing in stadia that will house 7,000 people, getting battered 7-8-0 away. It's great, we've managed to get to Nou Camp and do that.
I'll tell you what though, those clubs need that though as well. Like, for example, I went to go and watch a game in Luxembourg, and their stadium's as big as Hallam. You know what I mean?
But why do they need it? Do you know what I mean?
Because it's woefully underfunded. I completely agree with you. But I'm just thinking, let's get on to Sheffield Wednesday. Let's put that to bed. It's not happening. Do I believe that that's the end of it? No. This is not the last we're going to hear of a European Super League, but I think what we're going to find is that your regular faces like UEFA and Sky TV and beIN Sports and Darzn Sports and all the rest of it, when they're on board, you watch the narrative change. That's a wonderful point, that one.
Couple of months, everyone will forget about it, and all the uproar, it'll be like, I'll go to Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, whoever. Yeah. It'll just be normal. Sorry.
Speaking of terrible chairman and disconnection from fans, we won, lads. We done a win.
We did a win.
We did
Now,
one.
Jesus, Simon, did you watch the game? What a terrible game of football that was, but we done a win.
Mate, I'll be honest with you. The last time we all sat and talked about this was a game against Cardiff. Do you remember that Saturday afternoon? Where
We're right.
Not really. No, I'm going to be honest, not really.
All a little starstruck. And I still don't know whether that day exists or I dreamt about it. But we went into the QPR game thinking, hey, and it's been a shit show since we drubbed Cardiff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched the game since because I'm just absolutely fed up with them.
Do you know what, Simon? I don't think you're alone in that. And at no point am I going to sit here going, well, you should be watching them anyway, bloody hell. And I agree with you. The game was unpleasant to watch. They should have had 2 or 3 goals, shouldn't they, Steve?
Yeah, maybe. But, you take your 3 points where you can get them, don't you, at the minute, to be honest with you. The football's just been that abject. I know we're talking about Cardiff being a bit of a turning point, and it's not been right since. I think Cardiff was it's almost like it was a fluke.
Yeah. We put the fear of God into them after 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden they went shit.
Our season devolved and descended into absolute abject shiteness at half-time at Luton.
Yeah.
And for me, when we go down, and I hate to say it, we're going down.
Pull away.
I'll look back to that point at Luton when we were 2-0 up at half time. We were optimistic we can get out of it. I know we're talking the game the other night and maybe the last couple of games, but if I start pulling at this thread, I could be here all night with you. To be honest with you.
I agree. I see what CB's saying there. I think the thing is we've had too many times this season. It's not just Luton. There's other examples where opposition teams have came out second half and they've come at us, and as soon as somebody comes at us, we've not got a chance. We crumble and we collapse. And I think the difference in the Cardiff game, or even the Blackburn game most recently, is Blackburn didn't come out second half. Had they came out second half, there's every chance we would have lost that game. But
their confidence is shot to shit.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes nothing for us to crumble purely based on Blackburn, who looked quite good up to us scoring. Then, okay, it was a good time for us to get a goal. We were just before half time. But second half, I don't think they bothered coming out of the changing room, which is just as well because we weren't out special second half.
Every team that's murdered us this season, it's been in the second half. I don't know what. Maybe we'll get the stats from Peter at some point, but how many games have we lost in the second half?
Oh.
We were talking before the pod since we were third in the league last season.
Mm.
I remember Steve putting on our WhatsApp group last night. We got into the last few minutes. I think we played 4 or 5 minutes injury time yesterday. And we got to about 97 and Steve put, here we go.
Yeah.
And I just thought, and I put bewitching hour, because that's what me and my friends call it, because it is literally from 97 minutes. So when we were winning against Bristol, I said to Ethan, we were driving somewhere in the car, and Ethan said, "Oh, it's 97 minutes, Dad." And I went, "There's still time to lose 2-1 yet." And that's the mindset. That's the mindset. And then it will 1-1.
Yep. And that's what's happened. There's been, if anybody else works with these in their work, you have something called critical control points. So when something goes wrong, the first thing to try and stop that, then the second to try and stop that. So the first thing to go wrong, we're threatened with relegation. And like Dave said, in those last few games, we beat Cardiff, which is absolute flash in the pan. Then we were up against Rotherham. That critical control point we blew in the 97th minute. And then before that, there was Luton. And then after that, there was the equaliser at Bristol City. Whatever glimmer of hope we had, for me, died at that equaliser against Bristol City. But you're right, Steve. I think the Luton one specifically really, really hurt me. Now, Ash, come on, man. You're normally the voice of joy, aren't you?
That's a load of bollocks, isn't it? I'm very much of what Simon said. I'm not interested. Yeah. I'm really not interested. we talk about it on the WhatsApp. We do the games. We chat, and I'm just not interested. Exactly the same. You get a goal, you know another one's coming against us. The players, they're just. I've seen in the last week, but obviously we've won a game, so everything's up. Everyone's saying, "Yeah, we can do it. Can we do it?" and all this. It's false hope. I'm with Steve. It's too little, too late.
Ash, the reality is we could win every single game 6-0 and still go down.
Yeah, very much so.
We're looking at Derby. The one hope I've got this year, and I'll say it now, living in Waverley, I sincerely hope that Derby go down and Rotherham stay up. I really do, because the way that club's run, to an extent, Derby County was a blueprint for Chancery's get-rich-quick schemes. It was a blueprint for him papering over the cracks.
And we've done worse than them.
Morris into an absolute shithole. Alonso's looking at going in there, isn't he? From my
yeah.
Like everything, I know they're not so noisy neighbours next door, but if Rotherham stay up this year with the manager that they've got, Mattock played last night for them.
Yeah. Still? Is he still there?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, is he not dead?
If they're putting, if they're putting teams like that out, good luck to Richard Wood, good luck to Mattock, bloody hell, good luck to George Hurst at the end of the day. He's not going to score a goal. But if they get together and stay up with that little club mentality that they've done and they've galvanised themselves, fair play to them.
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually can't agree with you, Steve. So let's get on to staying up and the prospects that we've got. Now, there is a part of me that's...
It's not, Dan, there's not a big enough blue pill in the world for us to stay up. You know what I'm saying?
There's the name of the show there, Ash. But let's talk about it. But now, there is a part of me... Anyway. There is a part of me that's not happy because that's ridiculous. That's part of like, I bloody told you so. The fact that we are now in that 6-point gap out of relegation. I would like, if we go down, I very much want it to be by 5 points and less, because we can then go to our chairman, that's your fault. You did it wrong. You got us relegated. Do you know what I mean? Because bear in mind, Dave, come on, back me up here. If it's the start of the season, and you've got a 12-point deficit, that's affected our season, because how many players are going to go, Sheffield Wednesday with a 12-point deduction? Yeah, I'll go there. Crackheads. That's who. I tell you who's going to come. Izzy Brown, Jack Marriott and Elias Kachunga. Right?
And Dan, no, the transfer, and I swear I'll stand by this, a lot of fans said we did cracking business where we were. Absolutely happy with the signings. They've been dog shit, haven't they? Absolute awful. But, and there's been lots of them saying, I'm so happy with it. We've done well. We've got these players. We've got that player. They've been awful. Absolute dog. At the start of the season, and thing, it was like, I'm so happy. We've got some good players in. Nah.
I tell you what, actually, Steve, me and you were bang on the Izzy Brown bus, weren't we? Simon, get us out quick.
I agree with you to some point, but I also think that our established players that we've got have been shit as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
Adam Reach has been shocking. I think Tom Lees has been shocking. Julian Borner, I mean, all right, he's popped up with a couple of goals, but been awful. I think Palmer's been poor. I think if we looked, I mean,
Steve's just pulled his angry face at you there, Simon.
No,
that's his mate.
You can't disagree with me there. You can't disagree with me there. You know, I think that we've seen some amounts of positivity from some players. I mean, we were talking a while ago about Liam Shaw and him going to Celtic and stuff like that. Like
after two decent games.
Every time he's played since, I think he's had 2 good games and he's been garbage since.
Been absolute dog shit as well.
Yeah,
awful.
We got.
He's done well. Fair play.
I cannot actually name Bannon. Ben's not here. Sorry, Ben. Bannon's been shit, right?
I agree there.
You know, he's. We've had keepers who've just gone inept. I mean, there was it the QPR game where Wildsmith let the goal in, and then
he forgot he could use his hands, didn't he?
Yeah,
That's the problem. And then as a
wasn't
goalkeeper, that's a fundamental error.
Wasn't there? You could hear Bannon go, "You twat
That's
up,"
fucking sake! That's crap!
I mean, I can't pick a single player this season who, to me, has stood out. And it's not that I agree with the new signings. I think up two. Go on.
Go on, Steve.
Go on, Steve.
Iorfa.
Is he a new signing?
He stood out on his Instagram.
When he's played, I've got.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I think there's no arguments there, Steve. He's quality.
You could make the same argument about Luongo, though, couldn't you? He's great when he plays, but he's made out of biscuits, so he never plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between I'm going to play 2 games, miss 2 games, play 2 games, miss 2 games for a period of time, and then have however much time off. You can't legislate for tearing an Achilles.
No,
let me chuck one in for you. Jordan Rhodes. I think it's harsh to say that Jordan Rhodes has had a shit season.
No.
I think he's had an extended run in the team. He's got more goals in a season than he's ever got for us before. Because we've now we've put a manager in at Darren Moore who creates more attacking opportunities as opposed to hoofball from Pulis and whatever the hell Gary Monk was trying to achieve.
It'd be nice to have seen him in a team where other players around him are actually performing.
I agree with you. If they'd have stuck him in Brentford on their XG philosophy, XG. I reckon he'd have had a decent season, and I think that Jordan Rhodes, and I think our players. You're right. Barry Bannon's had an average season. And I think, two of the reasons of that is Barry Bannon should play for me as an attacking midfielder centre, who, for those who play Football Manager, or if you're under the age of 25, number 10, behind the striker, because what he keeps doing is dropping deep to try and be a deep line playmaker, and he keeps separating our defence. And I swear I'm sorry, Barry, you are 5'4". You're not going to win an header on the back beans on toast, pal. You know what I mean? Get up front and start spreading those balls, and let Joey Pelopessi do the work that he's there to do and be your enforcer. But then you had Tony Pulis kicking it over his head, but Darren Moore the amount of opportunities we get now, we're getting the best out of Josh Windass, who seems to be having a decent run of form under Darren Moore. Barry Bannon is utilised properly, and Jordan Rhodes is being utilised properly because he's playing. And, long gone are the days of hoof it to Callum Patterson and see if he'll score a dreadful goal against Bournemouth. You know what I mean? So, what do you reckon, Steve? Simon, does he fall into your list? What's your opinion on Rhodes?
I know this will sound controversial, but I've always thought, and it might be the optimist in me, that I've always thought that we've made him shit. He hasn't made himself shit.
His career prior to us, after Blackburn, has been very sketchy, hasn't it?
It was sketchy at Borough, wasn't it? And I mean, I've always joked about the fact that Steve Gibson said we overvalued our stadium when Chancery bought it, and I always say, yeah, and you fucking overvalued Jordan Rhodes and we paid for it. I've always thought he doesn't turn into a shit player overnight, and I have felt that he was foisted upon Carlos, and Carlos didn't really want him, and he was played in, and not taking the penalty in the playoff semi-final wasn't the best thing he could have ever done at Hillsborough, and not taking that has never adhered into fans. And then after that, it was bit part, and I actually agree with you. I'm with Steve in regards to Darren Moore. I think he's the only shining light I think we've got this season is our manager. I really do think he is the future if he gets the support.
Ash, you're disagreeing?
Nah, bollocks.
Are you not having big
DM? No. Honestly. No? Nah, I think he's going to get found out. Definitely.
In what respect? You feel like because he's such a big personality, he's kind of got that short-term bounce from the players, and his tactical awareness isn't moulded enough? Or
no, I know. It's not his fault. He's not been there and we wish him the best. And his thing is, there's not that. It's just not. I've not seen enough of it. I thought not the new manager bounce or anything. I thought that we'd get more from him. I thought there'd be more urgency, more. And I think he's brought in with a League One mentality, knowing that we're going down.
I think there's definitely
I don't think he was the man to keep us up. I think he's been brought in for League One.
Steve and I talked about this the other week. The person who was brought in to try and keep us up was Tony Pulis, right? Tony Pulis was brought in because he sold himself on the fact he'd never been relegated before and he'd done this and done that. And that completely bombed. And we anti-Pulis and got rid of him because he couldn't. There was no new manager bounce. I think he won one game against Coventry and that was it.
Yeah.
So I agree. Darren Moore, I think, was brought in with League One in mind.
Yeah.
I think he was brought in with League One in mind. Is where the future goes. And again,
the future should have been Championship, shouldn't it?
He's creating a playing mentality in the side, which is starting to get the best out of some players. So as Dan alluded to, Jordan Rhodes scoring.
But you've seen how many players are out of contract. How can he get that with going to be a totally different squad next year? I don't understand that. I don't understand bringing someone in for next year when you're not going to have the playing staff.
But we were always going to have that, weren't we, Ash? We were always going to have.
I think you should have brought someone in that wasn't for League One, that was going to try at least to keep us up. I don't think Darren Moore was brought in to keep us up.
Who would that have been?
I ain't got a Scooby-Doo, mate.
Yeah,
I haven't got a clue.
And also as well, with the players we've got, you're exactly right. We're playing with a hand of cards here where we've got, and it was similar, wasn't it, last season towards the end when we got players who decided they weren't going to play those last 5-6 games, was that all their contracts were running out. So you'll have players there who will have or have been tapped up by other teams or have ideas of other teams they're going to because they know they're not going to get the same wages at Wednesday. And whoever comes in, they will not play for them because at the end of the day, they've got their eye on the fact that they're not going to be there at the end of the season because the days of earning 45 grand a week at Sheffield Wednesday have gone.
They are. Now, Steve, they're slagging off your mate Darren Moore. Come on, pal.
I'm not.
I think you've got to see the bigger picture. You've asked Ash who we would have brought in, and Ash has gone, he don't know.
It's not his job, though. I mean, it's an easy question to ask, though, isn't it? You know, who would you get in then? I'd never heard of Carlos Cavalier, and they took us to bloody Wembley, like.
Look, no one would have said Darren Moore either, would they? That come out of the blue.
No, I think the groundswell of sort of positive vibes towards Darren Moore are endemic of the fact that we've had Pulis in there and he was crap. We've had Monk in there and he didn't sort of turn any heads. We've had Lukai before him. You know, so we've not really had a sort of a fan's favourite as a manager for so long. And we can, from my point of view, I don't know if the reasons why he was brought in, I don't think anybody does. I don't think Chansiri, if we sat Chansiri down now and said, have you brought him in to keep us up or to consolidate in League One or to prepare us for, you know, a return to the Championship, I don't think Chansiri can answer that question for you. I really don't. I don't think he knows. What I would say is under Moore, I've seen a change in the style of play. You know, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether we agree with him trying to play out from the back with the players that we've got, whether we agree with the way that he's setting up, it is better to watch. I'm not saying it's great football, but it's better to watch than it was under Pulis.
It is.
I think.
Absolutely.
I would argue.
He's only won 2 more games than Pulis. He's won in 3 in 11.
Listen. The club is in an absolute state. It's I'm loath to use really negative terms like cancer, but it's, you know, the club is toxic. It's a mess. And if Moore slows down that descent, even in the face of relegation, and I just personally feel that he is, even if we do go down, I will get behind Darren Moore next year. You know, I think he's doing.
How many games? How many games will he give him next year in League One?
Oh, he'll get till November at least, won't he? Surely.
It's a serious question because everyone's going to be expecting us to bounce straight back.
I can't answer that question now because I don't know what our squad's going to look like in League One.
No.
I don't know.
It's going to be full of James Coppinger.
Hey, mate, I'd take him tomorrow, Coppinger. I'd take him tomorrow.
Well, he has over the new side.
Listen, lads. Let me hit you with some stats. So our mate Pete Loman's been on. And today he released some statistics about how the manager's fared up against himself number-wise, right? Now, I found these really interesting. Now, obviously, I'm not reading it. Obviously, as you take a look, XG, expected goals, Darren Moore's winning. Expected points from expected goals, Darren Moore's winning. Goals conceded, Darren Moore is winning. Goals scored, Darren Moore. Now, this is interesting. So expected points from non-shots, we're the lowest. So I assume that's like dead ball situations. And got expected goals against, Darren Moore is the lowest, so he's winning. So a lot of these statistics, have a look on Pete Loman's Twitter. A lot of these statistics sort of say that we're a bigger goal threat going forward, but we're also a bit leaky at the back as well.
Which we've been since, again, Boxing Day when we were third in the league.
Yeah,
the rot started then.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, we were,
and we stuck with Gary Monk when we shouldn't have done.
I went to Bruges that night when we beat whoever we played that day. I can't remember. Pardon?
1-0 by Bannon. Bristol City penalty.
Bristol City. So that evening we got on a ferry and went to Bruges for a weekend, Christmas markets, this, that, and the other. Wore my Wednesday shirt. Stoke, Boxing Day. That was when it started. We started losing, conceding games, conceding goals in the last minute, and that mentality with the same pretty much the same back four and midfield as we've got now,
lost its head,
has carried it on all the way to today.
Okay.
And if you think about the fact that we've actually, in between that, released Hutchinson because he wasn't good enough or didn't fit into expectations, and then brought him back, what does that say about where we are at the moment in time?
Who released Hutch? Was that a Monk decision or was it a Chansiri decision?
God knows.
What, mate. Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon it's got to have something to do with the fallout that Hutchinson and both Westwood and Hutchinson have had with the gaffers. I think it's got a lot to do with that. For the chairman to allow him to come back makes me feel that it was Monk and Lukai who had a fallout with them because they couldn't manage them as people.
We need a chairman.
Because the chairman is not known, is it, for
talking to the players.
Well, yeah, I think if it's his way, it's the highway. And if he made the decision for him to leave, he ain't coming back.
I work in a company, and you're never going to work. I work in a company of 108 employees, and you're never going to get 108 employees that get on with each other, and managers that get on with each other, right? And I have a manager.
We can't get 5 people together to agree, to be fair,
I've got a managing director who will take our works manager and our contracts manager and will say to you, I know you can't stand each other, but you've got to work together for the good of the company. Right? Because if you do not work together for the good of the company, we will lose money and we will go bust. Right? And we've got a chairman here who is in a way letting the bloody tail wag the dog. Right? So if you can't get on a player, there's always going to be personalities in that changing room, isn't there? And if you've got somebody who can't deal with those personalities, you've got to bring them together and say, fuck it, you're a good midfielder and you're a good manager. Sort it out, get on that pitch and sort it.
Oh, so you're going with the 80s parenting method of smashing the bloody heads together.
Bloody mollycoddling the egos, and just at the end of the day, there's bigger things here.
Yeah, there is. Ash, now that was a good segue, actually, Simon. So, Ash, speaking of the chairman and interaction with the chairman, there was some notes released from your new friends group that you've got, your other mates.
Friends group.
Tell us about. Remind the guys.
It's not like we get round for a cup of tea and stuff and cake and things.
Well, you're all messaging each other, aren't you? Like we got Roland Nilsson from them, didn't we?
Yeah. Big up to Simon. Thank you for that, Si. Yeah.
Not me.
So go on, Ash. Tell us about what the forum is, and then tell us about what came out of it. Give us the headlines.
Well, yeah, we the supporters engagement panel, I think the technical term is, met the second time with the chairman, went through some pertinent points, I think that's been brought up many times on everyone's podcast between supporters and things regarding tickets, ticket prices,
refunds.
The actual, which the structure or the upper structure, should we call it, of the club.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what we've said before, where you've got a chairman and the lack of CEO, director of football, and the thoughts of the engagement panel is that we need, or we would like to see that sort of person or persons in them sort of positions, because I think it was said that when we asked the chairman to tell us the senior leadership team, he came out with the chef and like the under-23 manager. And do you know what I mean? It wasn't.
There's no middle management. It's literally Chancery and the geezer who writes the rotas for the pie shop.
That's right. Yeah, you've got Chancery, who's obviously the big wig, and it was like middle management, should we call it? Yeah, senior leadership. You wouldn't have expected the chef and under-23. You would have hoped for
a couple of captains,
COO, CEO, if that's director of football, things like that. So the questions were asked, and I feel it's really good. It's going to take a bit of time, honestly. There's not going to be massive changes straight away. I think we're wanting to get the trust and the support of the club, because you know what it's like. There's 20 of us on the panel, I think, all in all. We've all got our own thoughts. We're all passionate Sheffield Wednesday supporters. We've all got what we all, and there is a lot of us that represent big groups. So not just like individuals, we represent quite a few people. So there's the thoughts of everyone. And like I say, it's going to take some time to implement any thoughts, any suggestions, anything that we want to see. And I know it's
a bit of a while away, is it? But do you believe that the chairman's listening?
Yeah, I do. I do believe, and obviously being firsthand, listening to him talk and everything, I do get the impression that he wants to listen, but will he? I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, he's in probably the worst situation that he never thought he wanted to be in. Obviously, staring relegation.
That's his fucking fault. I've got no sympathy for him, to be fair on it. That, and he's not called me to host a Sheffield Wednesday podcast endorsed by the club, so fuck him, like, you know what I mean? But
I don't think we'll ever get that done.
But listen, Ash, can you make sure that if that you ask that and say, listen, Fudge is available. Give my phone number and just say, look, if you just want to ring up and shoot the shit and go, all right, Fudge, how's it going? You know what I mean? I'll listen to him, like, you know what I mean?
Saying that, you might be able to do a shout out for Simon. He wants a shout out, so I said I'll get Dan to do it for you. He went, only if he'll do it in a Cockney accent.
A Cockney accent. All right, okay.
Accent.
A Cockney. Simon, who was that the guy who sorted out Roland?
Of course,
for us?
yeah. Yeah.
All right, Simon, me old cocker sparrow. Thank you very much, call blimey governor. Proper appreciate you getting the geezer on. It was proper doubt, you know what I mean? I know it's 10 years since John Sullivan died. God bless his soul. He used to write only fools and ulcers, didn't he? All right, cheers, Si. Now, there was a really interesting point, and Dave, I wanted to get your opinion on this because I found this interesting. Now, a few of the expat Owls, Ash, what was they had a point, didn't they? They had a pertinent point. There was no engagement with them?
Yeah, so Paddy from Owls Americas, he's part of it, and I think he's got a very valid point. I think in the past, all these supporter panels or groups and things have been very Sheffield centric, very much that any supporter in Sheffield has been invited because he's been at the club. It's been easy for Sheffield Owls to get there, and because obviously he's been invited, he's been on a couple of the meetings and things. He's hoping to get more out of the engagement and the awareness for the club to say, actually, we're not just South Yorkshire, we're not just England. There are plenty of, especially over in America, I think they've got like 300 plus members of their group. There is supporters all over that obviously can't get to games.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you, Dave. Is there anything you'd like to see to try and engage yourself a little bit more? I mean, it seems like Pally's asking the right questions, right?
I think it's a fair point. I think the difficulty is trying to sell the idea of us being too big. There's Wednesday fans that have gone all over the world, but I think the largest thing most will have in common, and I appreciate this folk on the Owls Americast that are slightly different, but people like Paddy, they're expats that have gone elsewhere with jobs or with their families or what have you. So their background and their history is Wednesday. They've grown up in the area, or the family has, or whatever, and that's where you've got your love for the club. I've grew up in Penistone, and I've gone to Wednesday matches, and I've moved up to Scotland, so I've brought that with me. And when I go back home to see family, I try to go to matches. But what I don't think we have, and it's interesting when we spoke about this Super League at the beginning of the show, those big clubs in the sort of European Super League are looking to create fan bases organically from people who have never been anywhere near Sheffield in this case, but Manchester or wherever you are. I don't think we have that global appeal, as in folk who have never been anywhere near Hillsborough are picking Wednesday as their club. So I think for me anyway, I think the onus is on me to go look for the content and to look to do things with the club, because the club's still in Sheffield. I don't expect Wednesday to come and reach out. There's a handful of Wednesday fans up in Scotland, of course, but I don't expect any time and effort to be made for the club to reach out to me personally, because I just don't think it's worth the club's while.
I think that comes from those success on the pitch. You look at these clubs with this big international following; they're successful clubs. Do you know what I mean?
So what I'm saying is the club can't put the cart before the horse. I think you're right in what you say. If you create a product that's going to get appeal, then you can then expect the club then to reach out to people all over the world. What you can't do is have an infrastructure for an international fan base for a team playing in League One.
No, I completely agree, and I think that's where we're going to get hit as a club in that overseas market. Now, so that was the notes from the fans forum. Appreciate that, Ash. Thank you new friends for me, and thanks a lot for Simon again.
My new friends.
I love that you've got a little group chat. What I want to know is DC in your group chat? Are you sending him nudes?
I hope not.
Right. Well. No.
Okay.
I think we all know that the sort of things that get sent on WhatsApp amongst everybody, there's probably like 0.001% of the stuff that I would like to send to Chansey.
That was very diplomatic of you, Ashley. Well done. Okay.
And you like nudes and stuff like that.
It's all Vic's Tinder matches. To be fair, they get sent up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, she'll go mad at me for saying Tinder matches. Tinder suggestions. Okay, Steve. Now you've got a lot going on, and I'm going to use this platform in order to advertise it. It is quite Wednesday centric. So can you? I'm going to give you the platform now, sir. Tell us what's going on, and don't forget the Major Quiz Waddle.
Well, thank you very much, Ash. Dan, even. On the 29th of May, I will be stepping out for with a group of Sheffield Wednesday legends in a football game at the Keepmoat. It is for a cancer charity that is based in Doncaster, a local cancer charity based in Doncaster called Eve Merton's Dreams Trust. Effectively, they look to support families and people within the community that have been struck by cancer and affected by cancer. Really, really good group of guys. I've been working with them for sort of 5-6 years now, and have been blessed and fortunate enough to be able to play a few games of football. In the last couple of years, they've done a Doncaster Legends versus Leeds United Legends, and I've been fortunate enough to share the football pitch with people like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Ian Hart, Danny Mills, Donny legends such as Coppinger, and Neil Sullivan, for just off the top of my head. This year, I'm lucky enough to be able to try and raise a bit of money for the charity by representing Sheffield Wednesday. Over the course of the next sort of few days, weeks, and going into the game, I'm going to be trying to do my little bit by selling tickets and raise that money so that I can hopefully step out amongst some Sheffield Wednesday legends. As it stands at the moment, we have announced Marcus Tudgay, and we have announced somebody called Chris Waddle, who will be adorning
Never heard of him. Was he any good?
He's all right. He's all right.
Yeah.
I think he's played a bit. He's been about. He's probably still better than me at the age.
He'd get a game now for Wednesday.
Yeah, the premise behind it is if we can sell a little bit of tickets. It's one that was cancelled because of the pandemic from last year. They are accepting crowds back into the Keepmoat on the 29th, and tickets are on sale. I think the easiest thing to do is probably share those links on our socials.
We'll do that.
Contact details. The tickets went live yesterday via the Donny Rovers sort of the club website. But any and all support would be gratefully received for that charity. They are a fantastic group of people. Quick shout out to Martin Lawrence, who is the founder and the organizer of the charity. He does legwork left, right, and centre year in, year out to put on an occasion like this, so that humble members of society such as myself can step out in a football strip wearing an owl this year and wearing the crest of the clubs that they've supported over the course of their lives. So a big shout out to Martin. Hopefully you'll appreciate that. If you can support in any way, shape or form, I'll share a link on my Twitter. I'll pin that at the top. Even every penny counts, really. The more money that I can raise will allow me to be more likely to be starting the game. As it stands tonight, I'm up to around about £896, wow. Which is all going to go to a really good cause. So please, if you can, find a penny down the back of the sofa, that'd be great. Cheers, Steve. Appreciate that, mate.
You never know. You might be able to meet one of the podcasters. You never know, do you, Steve?
And we are in talks to potentially do a little bit of podcasting.
And obviously, the more money you donate, ladies and gentlemen, the more clothes Ash will be wearing on the day. So
the least clothes.
You actually might get two podcasters as well as the one on the pitch.
Me and Dave live miles away, so we're not even going to get a spat on that day. So that's
one of three.
Okay. So Steve, what date was that? And it's at Doncaster Keepmoat Stadium. What date did you say? May.
29th of May.
29th of May. 29th of May.
Tickets are on sale. In terms of social distancing, and obviously COVID restrictions, they are selling tickets in bundles of 6. Price of the tickets, £6 for an adult, £3 for kids. If you want to bring the family along, it's 2 adults and 2 children per family ticket for a wonderful price of £12. Having played in those games for the last sort of 5-6 years, they are fantastic occasions, absolutely top notch. As I said, the money that goes to the charity and the people that are involved and the fundraisers as well as the legends at play are absolutely top guys.
Just asking for a friend, do they sell refreshments?
They may sell some refreshments on the day.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, like you say, £6 for an adult. Dave, I'm going to make you fall over in your table now. I pay that for a beer down in Brighton. So in it. So for the price of a beer, half a packet of fags, go and watch Chris Waddle in a Wednesday shirt. That's what it's like. So listen, thanks a lot to you guys for joining me this evening. Thanks a lot to Michael Constantine Wealth Management. I had to write that down if you saw my eyes swing to the side there. Michael Constantine Wealth Management, who sponsors this nonsense. Thanks to Ash and his new mate, Sue Geddes, our guest. Thanks a lot. Steve, good luck with your thing. Dave, Simon, I will see you next time. Thanks a lot for joining us.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.